All right, for more on the war with Iran, we're going to welcome in Senior Fellow of the America First Policy Institute and author of the book, The Iran House Tells of Revolution, Persecution, War, and Intrigue, Kenneth Timmerman, along with Adam Castillo, author of Finding Our Voice, A Story of Leadership in Crisis and the American Spirit Abroad. Gentlemen, great to see you both this morning. Thanks for joining the show. Appreciate it. Kenneth, I want to start with you. As Christina had mentioned during the swearing-in ceremony for DH Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen, President Trump said that he had received a very big present from Iran. Can you talk to us more about that gift? What more do you know? And what do you think it suggests?
Well, look, he said it was involving oil and gas and that he received it. And what I can see just by following tanker traffic going through the Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, excuse me, there have been 8 or 10 tankers that Iran has allowed to go through the strait, passing close to the Iranian coastline, so behind Lavan Island. That is not the main navigational channel. There's some speculation that that has actually been mined. So the Iranians are bringing these ships, these commercial tankers and perhaps cargo ships, very close into their shore on a special route that they are essentially guarding. So my guess is it has to do with reopening that tanker traffic, and we've seen the result of that, of course, in the oil market.
Yeah, and the Strait of Hormuz, of course, a huge point of contention with Iran only allowing, so far, what it calls the non-hostile ships right now to pass through, excluding passage to those linked to the U.S. and Israel. Adam, what more can you tell us about that and how those oil disruptions are impacting countries around the globe? And I know that you spent a bulk of your time in Myanmar, where I hear they're rationing fuel now.
Yes, Tracy. So right now there's basically one fuel ration a week, and ultimately even people in Myanmar right now can only drive their vehicles every other day, right? So it's having a huge impact on developing nations, a nation that's been part of the longest civil war in modern history. However, I don't really think that should be the priority of the president or the American people. I think the priority is obviously our own national security and the safety of our citizens. So while, yes, it has impacted Myanmar on a very large scale in terms of day-to-day life, you know, you have flights being canceled domestically because of the shortage on aviation fuel. You have even basically a total stoppage at the pumps in local gas stations. However, again, I don't really think that's something that should concern President Trump's decision-making.
Yeah, and this military operation against Iran, it's being fought on numerous fronts, with Israel also having some issues there with the prompter, and I have my scripts, gentlemen, also targeting Iran's proxy Hezbollah in Lebanon. And now there's a recent report out from the Jerusalem Post saying that Hezbollah is now targeting IDF soldiers and looking to abduct them. So, Kenneth, let me ask you this. How else could this complicate the situation right now, and how concerning is this report?
Well, in 2006, I was covering the Lebanon war for Newsmax up on that border between Lebanon and Israel. And the war began, remember, when Hezbollah abducted a group of Israeli soldiers. That led to a pretty extensive ground invasion, 4,000 missiles and rockets going into Israel at a time when Israel did not yet have missile defense the way they do today. So yeah, it's a really big deal. We saw the reason that the war in Gaza lasted for 3 years was because Hamas had abducted Israelis on October 7th, 2023. So yes, it's a huge deal. It's something the Israelis clearly want to make sure does not happen because they know how long it could take to resolve.
Yeah, also something that really hasn't been discussed, and Adam, I want to talk to you about that, and that is how the war with Iran is impacting the AI chip supply. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's reports that aluminum shipments out of the Middle East are now stalled, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, listen, AI chips take something called critical minerals, and some of the rarest come from places like Myanmar, or even what we're now doing in Venezuela. But aluminum is available in Australia and available in Latin America. I mean, really, if we're talking about the Middle East, they probably have these giant refinement or smelter plants in order to produce large amounts of aluminum. But again, I think we have to really look at what's happening from an operational standpoint. We're firing off missiles, we're firing off interceptors, our allies are firing off interceptors and missiles. What do you use to create or actually produce those missiles? heavy rare earths, critical minerals, these minerals from the ground that produce precious metals. Tungsten and antimony at the top of the list are probably two of the biggest critical minerals that we need to make interceptors, to make missiles. And really, we're going to start seeing that supply chain dry up, which kind of pushes the administration to continue to diversify critical mineral supply chains, right? This is something that we currently have a stopgap right now with China. But I'll close with this. I think there's a lot to make ado about us in China and this fight for critical minerals, these precious metals that really are the future of this country and the future of the world. However, something to keep in mind, every country is now looking for critical minerals. Every country is now looking to refine. So this is a larger, kind of broader picture in terms of what the actual operation is gobbling up in terms of missile, and now we have to produce those missiles again.
Well, Em, let me ask you this, just a follow-up question. Do you think that we could potentially do a deal with Iran and mine their critical minerals for our use?
Well, a lot of that comes down to surveying, right? Let's use Venezuela for example, right? We know they have oil, but we know they probably have gold, but nothing has been surveyed yet. That's kind of goes along the lines of oil and gas. You have to survey what exactly the country has. So right now, while we can estimate with the government's data, et cetera, a lot of that data is outdated, right? They need to be on the ground in certain of these countries. And unfortunately, right now, that's not going to happen in Iran. And we can use Ukraine for an example, right? Now, we signed a critical minerals deal with Ukraine, right? But much of Ukraine hasn't been explored yet, let alone surveyed, because there's a war there going on right now. So really, it's on the administration to look, okay, where can we actually survey and then mine critical minerals at certain countries around the world? Myanmar is one of those, and that's something I've always advocated.
Yeah, Kenneth, I want to go back to you. We were hearing from Christina at the New York Stock Exchange, things sounding pretty optimistic there after the president's 15-point plan. Good news. So what do you think that means for gas prices ultimately? Do you think we're going to start to see them come down?
Well, if the president gets a deal with Iran, they're going to plummet. They're going to drop like a rock. I mean, it's crystal clear to me. But I'm not sure he's going to get a deal. From what I'm hearing from the Iranian side, they have not made any public concessions. They're blustering as they always do. They're pretending that they have not really gotten a 15-point plan from the United States. And they're making all kinds of outrageous demands, which they ought to know are dead on arrival. The kind of stuff that they're saying really is, Tracy, it's no different from what they were saying a month ago before the war started. So I think that the president's ploy here, his negotiating ploy, was absolutely brilliant. He said he was going to do something he hadn't yet done, attack their electric power plants. Then he said, well, I'm not going to do it for 5 days, so negotiate. That's what really opened this all up. I think the president is a brilliant negotiator, and if something does break free here, it will be because of his tactics, his ability to really cut through the haze of the Iranian regime, what's left of it.
Oh, absolutely. And we're seeing more troops head over there, too. So peace through strength. We'll see what happens. Kenneth, Adam, great to be with you both. Thank you so much for weighing in. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tracy.
All right, coming up, retiring Border Patrol Chief Greg Bavino only has one major regret. We will tell you what it is.